So all across the country, cities have decided not to enforce the law and to give criminals free rein over huge parts of their territory. The city of Chicago, for example, has told its police officers not to chase criminals. They're also releasing people from jail, real criminals from jail, all the time, constantly. The results? Well, so far this year, more than 1,500 people have been shot in Chicago. This weekend alone, there were dozens more shooting victims in Chicago.
It has been a violent weekend here in Chicago or police headquarters. At least 63 people shot over the weekend, 3 fatalities. And last night there were 2 mass shootings and 17 people were struck in those 2 separate incidents.
So in Chicago, a mass shooting means a gang shooting. Almost all shootings in Chicago are gang shootings. They happen virtually every night. But the mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, insists that actually homicides and shootings in Chicago are pretty uncommon.
Many residents in Chicago feel that you've lost control of the city. Now it appears as though you've lost control of the Chicago City Council. Do you owe an apology to the victims of violent crime, the thousands of unsolved shootings and murders and stabbings and random stabbings in the downtown and the south side and the north side and the west side? Do you owe these people any apology?
So once again, sir, I ask you to get your facts right. Crime is not out of control in our city. In fact, crime is on the decline. All of our major indices showed the decline in crime, and our homicides and our shootings year over year are down. That's a fact, sir.
Well, it's actually not only not a fact, it's very easily checkable. I mean, this is not, is there life on Mars? We're not really sure. These are shootings and murders. They're the statistics we keep the closest track of, so we know that what she said is the opposite of the truth. And this is a very familiar pattern here. When you can't deal with the reality which you created and are solely responsible for, you just deny it exists. You just pretend it's not true. At the White House yesterday, Joe Biden's grumpy little flack insisted that actually it was Republicans who were trying to defund the police. Really?
Okay. Something one of the advisors said this weekend, Cedric Richmond, he said, Republicans defunded the police by not supporting the American Rescue Plan. But how is it that is an argument to be made when the president never mentioned needing money for police to stop a crime wave when he was selling the American Rescue Plan?
Well, the president did mention that the American Rescue Plan, the state and local funding, something that was supported by the president, a lot of Democrats who supported and voted for the bill, could help ensure local cops were kept on the beat in communities across the country. As you know, didn't receive a single Republican vote. That funding has been used to keep cops on the beat.
Yeah, crime's up because Republicans tried to defund the police. At least one talk show host over the weekend repeated that talking point like it was true and not just like some total ludicrous fiction written in the basement of the DNC by a teenage summer intern, which is essentially what it is. In fact, police departments, by and large, are not funded by the federal government. They're funded by you. Your local cops. Your tax dollars pay for them. So it's city councils in city after city, 9 out of the 10 biggest, controlled by Democrats, that have defunded police in the last year. That's just true. You did it. Why not just say we're for it or it was a mistake? Instead, they're telling us unless Republicans vote for a $2 trillion federal spending bill that has really nothing to do with crime whatsoever, then they're responsible for defunding the police and crime rates shooting up. That's what they're saying. And some people on television repeat it as if you're going to believe it, like you're a moron. They must think you're stupid, do they? Victor Davis Hanson would know. He watches carefully. He's a senior fellow at the Hoover Institution. We're happy to have him on tonight. Professor, thanks so much for coming on. I love this technique. You accuse the other side of precisely what you're doing, and you never crack a smile as you do it.
Yeah, it's projection, but I don't think it's going to work, Tucker, because they're captives of their own AOC squad, Bernie Sanders base, and that base doesn't believe there's a crime wave, and if there is a crime wave, It's sort of social redistribution. The individual is never culpable for committing a crime. He's a victim. He's a victim of larger social, economic, cultural forces whose task is to equalize the playing field. That's what progressivism says. Notice that in all these cases you cite, the one thing that they're especially sensitive is property crimes. Remember Mayor Rawlings said, we gave space for people to burn, and the mayor of Minneapolis said, it's just brick and mortar. And our DA in San Francisco said, if you commit $950 of crime, who cares? And Hannah Jones, the architect of the 1619 project, said, looting's not a crime. And what they mean by that is that it's sort of a social redistribution, and it's going to continue because these people are victims. And if you're going to make a beautiful omelet, it doesn't really matter if a few eggs are broken. That's just collateral damage. A shooting there, an accidental shooting there, a deliberate one, it's okay because we're engaged in a bigger reset. The only reason that we're having this discussion now, Tucker, is they're worried about the optics. And there's one too many swing voters in the suburbs who voted for Joe Biden who's worried. One too many professional basketball players who was robbed. One too many people in the inner cities who are shot and telling their Black Caucus members, hey, wait a minute. And they don't know what to do with it because, as I said, they're prisoners of their own party. And so now they're lashing out with these ridiculous theses, sort of like the border or the racial divisions they've ginned up. It's this cosmic agenda, and they don't care about the individuals who suffer. They're just little people, and they're exempt. They're never going to be hurt by the crime wave. Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein, Chuck Schumer, none of them. They have enough money and influence and power to shield themselves from the ramifications of their own ideology.
They ought to be required to live in the hood by law. I mean that. Victor Davis Hanson, it's great to see you tonight. Thank you for your wisdom as always.
Thank you.